A warm welcome to you all this evening to the Pension Committee meeting. I would like to acknowledge everyone in the council chamber. There's no one there anyway. This evening, and those observing online. Before we begin the meeting, there are a few housekeeping rules I need to cover. The meeting will be live streamed for public viewing, and a record of decisions published the following day. The exempt information at agenda number 11, 14 to 20 will be considered in a closed session and will not be streamed online. I would also like to remind all committee members that you are required to attend in person. For any councillors who are accessing this meeting remotely, I must remind you that you are not counted as being present for the purpose of the Local Government Act 1972, and you may not vote on any item under consideration. You may, however, at my discretion as chair, continue to the discussion and participate in a non-decision-making capacity. Whilst this is a busy agenda, we will be keeping to the allocated times to ensure the smooth running of the meeting. Can I therefore request that you are succinct in your presentation and response? I now turn to the published agenda item. The order of business on the agenda will be varied, and agenda item 11 will be considered in the private session of the meeting, following agenda item 13, exclusion of the press and public. This is due to the reclassification of the report from public, as it contains exempt information as defined in paragraph 3 of part 1 of schedule 12A of Local Government Act 1972. Agenda item 1, apology for absence. Apology for absence have been received from Councillor Primru online, Erin, Nahim, and any other apologies? Jonathan? Yeah. Councillor Gordon is online. So apology for lateness have been received from Councillor Gordon. Councillor Primru and Jonathan will join the meeting online. Yeah. Agenda item 2. Yes.
I'm online as well.
Yeah, okay, Councillor Adebayo.
Yeah, could you just wish Jonathan well for her? He's not well, is he, at the moment?
All right, yes. Jonathan, we wish you a speedy recovery. I know, get better soon. Agenda item 2, declaration of interest. Do members have any interest they wish to declare? No, thank you. Urgent restricted business, none have not been notified of that. Agenda item 4, notice of intention to conduct business in private and representation. The agenda contains exempt item 11, 14 to 20. The agenda item 5, questions, deputation, pension to the committee. The committee has received, and I have been asked to read a question on behalf of Councillor Benny Lubbock as follows. Please, can officers provide an updated figure for the amount of money the pensions committee, either directly or indirectly, has invested in a renewable energy, infrastructure or supply companies, and separately in company involved in fossil fuel extraction and supply? So, Miriam.
Thank you, Chair. Just let the Chair know that the first part of the question has been responded to. That's been forwarded to Rabia. I believe she sent it to the councillor, and then we'll respond to the other part that might take a bit of time for the extraction later.
Thank you. So the question has been responded, yeah? So I acknowledge that a motion was passed at the extraordinary council meeting on the 23rd October, which refer in part to divestment. We are following the development with London Sieve, along with other London boroughs. The Scheme Advisory Board wrote to the Minister of London, Local Government and Homelessness, Alison McGovern, on the 13th October, since the problem affecting all 86 LGPS owned in England and Wales. So agenda item 6, to know the minutes of the meeting of the pension board. There are no minutes from the pension board. Agenda item 7, Consideration of the minutes of the previous meeting, page 9 to 22. Can members agree the public minutes of the previous meeting held on the 23rd September and 5th November 2025 as a true and accurate recording?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Yes, I must mention that we received an email on recent example of, thank you for the agreement. So I must mention that we received an email on recent example of engagement by Columbia Threadneedle, which demonstrate engagement can be effective, although it takes time. So I just mentioned that. I mentioned that last statement because in the last meeting, somebody actually asked a question about if we can, show where engagement has worked. So it's been circulated. That was circulated to somebody, to all the members yesterday. So I don't know if they've read it. So that's why I mentioned that. So matter arising. Are there any matter arising? No. So agenda item 8. So this is about the SAB Pension Committee and Pension Board Share Annual Conference. As chair, I attended the meeting, which is on the 22nd of October, and I've circulated the summary. I don't know if anybody's got any question for me. I circulated the summary, so I'm taking it as read. The summary from the meeting that I attended. So if there's any question, I'm willing to answer it. If not, I'm going to move on. No questions? Okay, I'm moving on. So if you can note the report, please, can we note the report? Yes, members, can we note the report?
Noted.
Yeah, okay, thank you. The summary, I can. Right, agenda item 9. 2024-25 Pension Fund Annual Report and Committee Annual Report to the Council, page 23 to 277. So the report is for decision. This report and appendix presents the draft Pension Fund Annual Report and account for the London Borough of Hackney Pension Fund for the financial year 2024-25. Can I ask Miriam to introduce the report, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The report is a requirement of the Local Government Pension Scheme 2013, and each fund is required to prepare annual report, and there are quite strict guidelines on what needs to be included. In addition, last year we had updated guidance from the scheme, joint guidance from the Scheme Advisory Board and SIPFA, as well as MHCLG on additional requirements. A lot of that was around starts on the administration side. The report gives a summary of what the fund has done over the year. It includes certain statutory reports, as well as copies or links, depending on what the fund requires. It includes the draft accounts, just to bring to the attention of the committee that the audit of the 24-25 pension fund accounts is ongoing. The auditors are currently working on the council's own accounts. They did some initial work on the pension fund accounts to enable them for pass on to Equinity, who are the outgoing administrator, any of queries and samples. So they've done that, and we're expecting that anytime soon they will come back to finish up on the pension fund accounts. So far, there's nothing of significance that has been raised as any concern, but we'll keep the committee informed with any progress. The pension fund accounts and the council's accounts has been presented to the audit committee, as is the usual process for the council. I'm happy to take any questions on the annual reports itself.
Thank you, Miriam. Councillor Radburn.
Thanks very much, Chair. I'd just like to congratulate the officers on an excellent report, which I have actually read. And, but I particularly wanted to just draw attention to, in your address, to us becoming a signatory to the Financial Reporting Council on our stewardship activities and the awards that we've won, from LGC Investment Award and the Local Authority Pension Fund Investment Award, Best Approach to Responsible Investment, LGBS Fund of the Year. I do think that confirms that we've got an excellent officer team who've done a lot of very good work in very difficult circumstances, and also to those who support us, our consultants, and so on, and also colleagues on the committee for their work in making sure that we are doing the very best that we can for the pensioners of the Hackney Fund, and that we have indeed our investment strategy and all that we have done in the way of direction of investment has been correct, and obviously rewarded and recognised by bodies outside of ourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your kind remark. And Miriam, yes, go on. So
It's just a point to note that we're not nominated for the LGC Awards. It's going to take place on on Friday. We don't know the outcome yet, but we've been nominated. But for the LAPF Awards, yes, Hackney won Pension Fund of the Year.
thank you for that. And on that note, just that kind of escaped my mind. And we congratulate the officers and pension committee for the award that we won. So so I think that shows that we are going the right way. So congratulations to everybody and for the hard work. Thank you very much for that. So any other question, members, on this agenda item? Anybody online? Any question? Yeah, Councillor Adebayo.
It's not a question for per se. I just want to acknowledge the hard work that our staff has been doing. For us to have that award is it's a milestone, and thank you so much for everything that you are doing. We really appreciate it.
Any other questions or comment, or so otherwise we go to the recommendation? Yeah, Councillor Broughton.
Yes, I'd just like to thank the committee and the Assistant Director for sending me on an extremely good course, a 4-day course, which was extremely illuminating, and I couldn't recommend it enough. It was really, really useful. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm taking it that you are a guru now, yes? You are an expert on pensions now. Councillor Troughton. Councillor Troughton, I said I'm taking it that you are a guru now. You are an expert on pensions. Thank you. That's good. that's good. So I'm going to recommendation now. There's no more questions or comments. So the pension committee is recommended to note the 2024-25 pension fund activities, governance, and performance, and 2, to note the draft version of the pension fund annual report and accounts, and thirdly, to approve publication of the draft annual report and distribution to interested parties ahead of receipt of audit certificate. Can we note and approve, please?
Noted and approved.
Councillor Chapman, you're not talking.
Oh, yeah, agreed.
You agree?
Noted and approved.
Noted.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So I'm moving on to.
You got applause for that, then?
Sorry?
You just got applause.
Yes. That's for Councillor Chapman. It's well known. Thank you very much. Agenda item 10. LGPS consultation scheme, access and protection, draft consultation response. Page 279 to 342. This report presents the LGPS consultation scheme improvements and access. The consultation was issued on the 13th of October 2025 and we closed on the 22nd of December 2025. Can I ask Miriam to please introduce the report, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The government, I think Hackney's got a good track record where we try to participate and send our comments and opinions on government consultations on the pension fund. And this is no exception. The aim of this consultation, quite a lot of it is actually has been expected for quite a number of years. But the government is aiming to address fairness, equality, efficiency, and access. And the consultation impacts 4 areas. One is the minimum pension age being amended from the 6th of April 2028 to 57. Then academies, there's the direction into legislation to enable academy pools into a single fund to allow for any geographical spread and employer transparency. Thirdly, it addresses issues around the fair deal, and that gives more protection to outsourced workers to allow them to continue to access the LGPS. And it takes off that word that's been there for quite a while, which is the broadly comparable word in the, it's now been taken out and removed. So this means that, you know, when the council outsources any contracts, be it cleaning, be it catering or what have you, the employees now who are tipping over will have a lot more protection. At the moment, there is no concrete obligation that makes it mandatory for the employer to choose the LGPS. It says it's broadly comparable, but this will actually go a long way to support the employees. And lastly, the regulation also brings back into pension scheme for councillors and mayors in England and Wales, brings them back into the LGPS. And that brings them in line with Scotland and Northern Ireland. But of course, there are some caveats. Members will be allowed 50-50, but things like early retirement, things like merging, aggregating their previous records, LGPS records will not be allowed. But we're expecting a bit more guidance once the regulation has gone through. There are 2 regulations at the moment on the fair deal and on the mayor's one and the councillor's one, which is actually in motion as we speak. But we'll keep the committee updated as well as all our employers as time goes on. I'm not sure. I would like to pass on to Ian, who is our governance representative from Hymans. Perhaps he might have a few words to say as well.
Thank you, Miriam. Good evening, everybody. Miriam's covered the main proposals within this consultation, so I won't dwell on detail. I was just going to pick out a couple of things. I think, well, this consultation is part of a series of consultations we've had around the idea of access and protections, access and fairness, and I think it's indicative of government's desire to really concentrate on how the LGPS delivers for the scheme members. We know that the MHCLG, the government department responsible for the LGPS, has really tried to engage with LGPS funds, and I think probably recognises that in the past it's concentrated a lot on things like pooling, on things on the funding side of things. This is very much a statement of we really want to understand the administration and make sure that it is delivering for members. In terms of the 4 proposals, things like the normal minimum pension age, there's a lot of complexities to that. They will largely be picked up by the funds administrator, but there will be some delays while software is updated to recognise these different periods of protection, and also the communication challenge that this brings. But now you've got people in the scheme who will have different minimum pension ages, so that shouldn't be overlooked. I think the academies piece is around consolidating academies into a single pension fund. I think where that process takes place, there will definitely be increased workload on Hackney officers. Miriam's team there's definitely a role to play in making sure that all of the governance around that is done appropriately. The third deal protections, making sure that members who are outsourced retain their pension rights. That will be largely an employer responsibility, but again, there will be a role for the Hackney team to make sure that that is done properly and that the what needs to be done is done. And opening the scheme to councillors, again, that will be a kind of case of updating the system and just making sure that elected members are communicated with properly and understand what their scheme membership means. So I think these are all to be welcomed, but we need to recognise that it does place more work on Miriam and her team and the administration team as well. Happy to take any questions members have any.
Members, any questions? No? If there's no question from members, I've got some couple of questions of my own. So let me start. My first one. Got a question? Yeah. Okay, go on then.
I mean, you know, I think these are to be welcomed, you know, these initiatives, but I do worry, you know, about the fact that the government is not committing any funding to, you know, support them. And I just wondered, you know, what the officer's response to that would be. You know, is it manageable? Are we able to manage down the workload, or, you know, how would it be managed? Thank you.
In terms of the funding, obviously we cannot comment on individual employers as the scheme, but one thing to note is that we as a fund, we will work with the employers, but there is the administrative burden, like you said, but that will be met by the fund.
Yeah, so obviously all administration costs is met by the fund. In terms of the employer cost in respect to the becoming members of the pension fund, that will be built into the council's medium-term financial plan when that comes in. We have done it before, it has been in place before, but it will be planned for, and it is a new burden that won't be funded. But it's not a significant cost.
Thank you. My first question is the timeline for implementing the statutory instruments realistic given the operational and communication requirements? That's my first one.
So the pension age change, that's 6th of April 2028. Councillors will be 1st of April 2026. And I think the third, the one on the outsourcing is also expected to be April.
My second question is, what are the expected cash flow implications for the fund losing the math schools through consolidation?
Yeah, you've raised a very important question. At the moment, we cannot speculate on which academy trust, multi-academy trusts could be interested. But it's something that if they do approach officers, we will be able to determine and work with them actually on that. But at the moment, we will be able to determine who will be impacted or not.
One is, what additional monitoring may be required to ensure compliance with the new fair deal requirements? I can repeat that. If you don't hear that, I can repeat it. As said, what additional monitoring may be required to ensure compliance with the new fair deal requirements?
So there is, first of all, employers, when the council is outsourcing, at the moment, those who tender, providers who tender for the council's contracts do build in pensions into the cost of pensions into their tenders. There might be, but there might be additional costs. We're not sure of that. However, one thing to bear in mind is that the fund already has a small employer policy in place for employers who have 20 or less employees chip in, and that means that there's a pension share, there's a risk sharing between the council. That's a pass-through. So ideally, the council will be supporting as the main employer for that contract. And if it's an academy, there's also a pass-through in place for academies. We're not expecting that this is going to be a major cost to providers, but without knowing, I guess each individual contract will have, its own cost implications. I don't know, Stephen, you might want to say something to this.
Thank you for that. And my last question is, this is expected to impact our employers. Can I ask officers to report back on the progress of the consultation?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So if there's no more questions or comment, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. How is it that they arrive at the age of 57 in particular? Is there some particular reason? I mean, when I was 57, it was no different to when I was 56 or when I was then 58. So I don't really follow.
I think it's no more sophisticated than 65. Then 55 is 10 years away from the retirement age. So that's why 55, 65, moving up those 2 years from 50, then you get that 10 years away. It will be beneficial to employers when going through restructure and to employees, because when there are redundancy situations, if you're over 55, you have no choice than to take your pension. Whereas you may not wish to do that. You may wish to keep it in the pension scheme and get another role elsewhere. So that, so it makes sense. The previous was 10 years away from the normal retirement age. This new is 10 years away from the normal retirement age. Don't know if the actuary wants to say anything onto that.
Nothing to add to that. That's the position.
Yeah.
So is the normal retirement age now 67?
66.
I thought it was 66.
Yes, it's 66. So it's going to go up.
Because the WASPy women have been cheated, haven't they?
Yeah, at the moment it's 66. So it's going to go up. Is it next year or year 2000?
My retirement age is 67.
Yeah.
And that's just a couple of years away.
Yes.
You're not allowed to retire, Deirdre.
Well, it's about 4 years away.
So, right.
We need you too much.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So we go to recommend. Councillor Chapman, do you have any questions? No. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So now we go to recommendation. The pension committee is recommended to note and approve the consultation response. Can we note and approve it, please?
Noted and approved.
Thank you. Agenda item 11 will be considered in the private section of the meeting. So pension annual report to the council. This report, the papers are contained in the supplementary pack 1, page 13 to 30. So if you look at the supplementary pack 1, so page 13 to 30. So this report and appendix introduces the 2024-25 annual report of the pension committee to full council. Throughout the period, the committee has actively contributed to leading and shaping changes in all areas of responsibility. Can I ask Miriam to introduce the report, please? Thank you.
I'm going to take the report as read, but just some highlights, it's just a summary of the actual work that the committee has done. So around investments, it picks up on the new asset classes. It picks up on the administration, what's happened during the year. It's picked up on some performance issues as well, membership. It just generally summarizes the work that this committee has done over the last 1 year. And it's just in line with previous years, the committee has reported to full council.
Thank you for that. If I can just comment on that one, that this report is the financial management report of the committee. Is the high level. It's not a running commentary of what the committee is doing on day to day or something like that. It's just the financial management aspect of it. So any comment or questions on this one? Councillor Chapman?
No, thank you.
Anyone online? Nobody? Okay. If there's no comment or questions, then we go to recommendation. The pension committee is recommended to approve draft annual report to the full council. Can we approve it, please?
Approve.
Thank you. Then agenda item 13, exclusion of the press and public proposed. As there is exempt business to be considered on the agenda, and the committee agreed to pass the following resolution: that the press and public be excluded from the proceedings of the pension committee meeting during consideration of exempt item 11, 14 to 21 on the agenda, on the ground that it is likely, in the view of the nature of the business to be transacted, that were members of the public to be present, there will be disclosure of exempt information as defined in paragraph 3 of part 1 of schedule 12A of Local Government Act 1972. Okay, yes. So we are going to item 11 now. We're going back to that. So